Either I finish this book or this book finishes me. I've been reading this book on and off for, I kid you not, almost a year. Every single time I pick it up, something major happens in my life and I stop reading. I'm talking about The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And here's the thing. This book is not the type of book that you pick up when you finish your very difficult workday and you're ready to cozy in and just go to bed. This is not the type of book you pick up in those moments. This is the type of book you pick up when you just woke up in the morning, your mind is fresh, you're ready to go into it. It's a difficult book to get through. It's very dense, very philosophical, lots of conversations that go on and on and on. It feels very claustrophobic at times. There are probably around 100 pages of this book that are just one day, where it's basically just one character going in various locations of the village and having different discussions with different people. I thought I was gonna lose it. I was like, when is this day over? I finally made it out of that day, but it's a book that is very difficult to read. And I know what you're gonna say. This is not the type of book you do a readathon for. This is a book that you enjoy, and this is a book that you savor over an extended period of time. I try to be nice. I try to play nice. It's not working. I need to block out significant periods of time where I just sit down and I read this book. And I'm not saying I'm going to finish this book in this video. I have a bit more than half of it to read still. I just reached part 3. So I'm on page 300 and my specific edition is about 700 something pages. So I'm not gonna finish this book in this video, but I want to set myself a challenge to advance in this book as much as I can within 24 hours, because otherwise it's such slow movement and I go periods of time not picking it up because I get extremely busy and life is busy and things are happening. Like, this is the type of book that you just read when you have all your cognitive juices flowing so that you can actually think about what you're reading. And obviously, I'm also annotating and taking notes. So I'm not just trying to get through it so it's done. I'm trying to get through it so that I can get something out of it. It's just like the getting through it part is actually hard. I think maybe it would be kind of smart to set a little goal for myself, even though I don't want to finish the book. I probably would like to advance up until a certain point. So let me see. Now, I read this book incredibly slowly. I am a slow reader to begin with. I usually read a typical classic or fantasy book somewhere around 30 to 40 pages an hour. If it's a very easy romance book, maybe more than that, I don't know. But this book, I've been reading at the Olympic pace of 15 to 20 pages an hour. So yeah, I don't know how much we're gonna get done in 24 hours, obviously with breaks and sleeping because I'm not a freaking robot. Maybe if I can read one part. So right now I'm in part 3. If I could read up until part 4, I think that would be nice. I think that would be a significant chunk of it. That would be almost 200 pages, 173 pages. I think that's a lot for this book in particular. So I don't even know if I'm able to do all that. It's a very gloomy day out. It's actually raining. I'm going to sit and read this book for 24 hours. I'm obviously going to sleep and I'm going to, cook and eat. But I will spend the majority of the time reading. We'll just keep reading and we'll see how much we can get done. Alrighty, so we've been reading for about an hour. I got through a couple of chapters. It's going good, but something that I'm realizing is that I'll have to take frequent breaks because this book is dense. I cannot just sit here and like binge out the whole book, you know what I mean? I didn't really talk to you about the book when I started the video, so maybe I can give you a very brief synopsis of what is going on if you are unfamiliar with the Brothers Karamazov. Basically, this book is a philosophical inquiry. Dostoevsky in this book was mainly concerned, from my perspective and from what I can tell so far in the book, with questions of morality, questions of ethics, and particularly the role of religion within that sphere. I think, when was this published or written? I believe this was the late 1700s. I could be wrong, but I think that's kind of the historical period we're set in. And Russia at this time is very much still under a lot of influence of the Orthodox Christian church. If you go to any Eastern European or any countries that have been influenced by the USSR, you will find most of the time quite a heavy influence of the Orthodox religion in the country, even today. For example, the country that I come from is Romania, and the Orthodox Church has a lot of influence and a lot of mm, say in a lot of the matters of the people. Not really linked to the government per se, but there's just this sort of like, you are judged for certain things that you do or don't do based on some religious beliefs that people have. And there's a lot of irony and hypocrisy there, of course. And this is something that this book is discussing, but obviously in a much more traditional sense, because this is from hundreds of years in the past. And as you can see, I'm also tabbing. If you can hear something in the background, that's my dog drinking his water. Good boy, hydrating himself. I've been tabbing this book, and basically, what I'm tabbing, it's really just kind of things that stood out to me. I didn't really look into the themes too much before starting my tabbing. So I'm tabbing four different things. There should be four different colors here. So in green, whatever you can see in green is philosophical. And this is really a broad annotating section theme. It's basically anything that Dostoevsky was interested in examining in this book that has something to say and offer about any philosophical question under the sun. I also put here things about Russia. So in certain sections of the book, he discusses the goal of Russia, or like what Russia is supposed to be, or what Russia is supposed to represent on a more international scale. Not really philosophical, but it's a really broad category of just whatever Dostoevsky was trying to put forward. Next, in blue, I have characters. So descriptions that I think are important of characters, or any sort of significant character development moment, I'll highlight it in blue, and that's really for all characters. We have three main characters that are the brothers Karamazov, and then we have their father, who is the patriarch of the family. And then obviously a lot of side characters as well, which honestly, even at this point, I'm still confused. I'm like, who was that again? I don't remember. Like, and then what's in orange that you could see quite a bit of, that's the church, religion, as I said before, huge theme in this book. And then lastly, in yellow, I don't have too many of those because I only started this category later in the book, and I wish I had started it before, but I didn't know it would be something that I wanted to actually examine and look into. Because as I said, I didn't really do a lot of research before picking up the book. I named it theater. It's really this characteristic of putting on a show or trying to be someone you're not in certain social situations, or trying to appear in certain ways. A lot of characters in this book do this, but the main character doing this is the father of the brothers. Actually, he calls himself a buffoon all the time. He's always trying to appear in certain ways, either to create various emotions from his audience. Because to me it's like he's really a character that is it's a caricature. Like this person is a caricature of himself. And I don't say that in the way that Dostoevsky describes him. Like it's not that Dostoevsky describes him poorly and he's not actually coming across as an actual person. Is that this is how he is in real life, and Dostoevsky does an amazing job at putting that on paper. Like this person is a shell of himself because he's always so concerned with acting in certain ways or trying to make himself seem pitiful, get certain reactions out of people. And I know people like this in real life. And so it's just absolutely mind blowing the way in which Dostoevsky characterized him. And it's so vivid. And so theater is really this characteristic that the father has, but a lot of people also have. And I think it goes back to this idea of particular cultures living in societies in which people look at you, people judge you a lot. And so you're really acting in certain manners to fit the stereotypical role that you're supposed to fit in society so you don't get as judged. It's really mind blowing and it's so difficult to explain. It's like I can't explain it. It's just if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you come from an Eastern European Slavic culture, maybe you can tell what I'm talking about. It's like it's this very peculiar thing that I cannot put in words. I'm so sorry. I'm not doing it justice to this discussion. I will be taking a little break to do some laundry and to cook dinner now. I was debating to put on an audiobook. I've never listened to this book on audiobook, kind of make the most out of the readathon. At the same time, I really like reading this book because it's so dense, and I feel like an audiobook while I'm doing other things, I'll be missing a lot of details from the book. And also I can annotate, right? I love annotating. Like every 2 pages there's something that I'm scribbling in the book. So I think I might not put an audiobook for this one, but I might put an audiobook for the other book that I'm reading currently. A whole other vibe. I'm reading Say You'll Remember Me by Abi Jimenez. It's just like a cute summer romance thing. I don't know. I might just put the audiobook for this. This is not part of the readathon, by the way. Like the readathon was solely supposed to be this. It's just that I don't want to put an audiobook in for that because I don't want to miss any important details. So I'm technically still gonna be reading, just not that particular book with the audiobook format. It is 11 p.m. or something of the sorts. After dinner, I did a little bit of reading, but I also had to use a couple of hours on that work thing that I was talking about. So now that's all done and we are locking in. I would like to get another at least 40 to 50 pages before I go to bed tonight. And that would leave approximately half of my goal left for tomorrow. I've never read this book at this ungodly hour at night. I've never read the book at night. I always read it during the day because it sucks so much of my energy that I feel like at night I'm half asleep. I can't focus. But I'm really going to try to push myself to read as much as I can tonight. Welcome back. It's the next day. That reading at night at 11 p.m. didn't go as planned. I read for maybe 30 minutes and then I was knocked out. But I did do some very good progress this morning. I read a little bit in bed and then I went out to the park. It was very nice in the morning. Now it's starting to get gloomy again. But I was able to get some reading done in the park, and I am officially 100 pages in since we started. So I have about 70 pages left to reach my goals, with about 4 hours left to the readathon. I think that's feasible, but I would have to push myself a little bit. Things are getting juicy. I finally made it to the part where the crime happens. So this is technically a murder novel. I don't know. It's not a murder mystery. And I don't want to say too much in case you want to read it and find out for yourself who dies or who does the killing. I really felt Dostoevsky's narrative voice through this, in the sense that it really reminded me a lot of Crime and Punishment and how Raskolnikov was going through this tormented state after he had committed the murder, where he didn't actually realize and was kind of almost unable to pin down the emotions that he was experiencing. But Dostoevsky, in his masterful descriptions, kind of showed how his emotions were being revealed and were coming out of him through various aspects of either his bodily sensations or the way that he would react to certain things. And this happened here in the book too. It's quite different from Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment, but that same creative, descriptive way of emphasizing someone's psychological state, even though that person is not able to identify the psychological or emotional state they're going through. It's so beautiful. I love it. So yeah, I'm having much more fun reading now than I did a couple 100 pages past. The first chunk of the book that I read so far before this readathon was really just conversations between people, a lot of backstories, a lot of going back in time and recounting stories that are not even that relevant to the story. But obviously, now that I'm getting into the actual plot of the story, now I can look back on those specific stories and see how they might have been connected. So it's all coming together and the plot is moving forward at a much faster pace, which I really enjoyed because I was dragging my feet with this book. The whole intrigue of the book, it lies down in a drama. And it's basically the story of a very toxic, chaotic family dynamic, all at the heart of these different men being in love with the same woman. So that's where we're at. I'm really happy with the progress that I'm making. It's tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not enjoying every moment of this. This is not a type of book that you just sit and you're like happy to read all the time. But I'm really happy that I'm pushing myself to do this, because otherwise this would have taken me, the progress that I've made in one day would have taken me probably a month. And I'm hoping within the next 4 hours to be able to get down the other 70 pages. Slowly losing my energy. I read like 20 pages in the last hour. I think it's very doable, but I'm just very, very tired of reading this book. We're done. I'm missing about 20 to 25 pages to reach part 4. So technically I failed this challenge, but I won it in my heart because I've never done so much progress in this book in such a short amount of time. And honestly, I could read the other 20 pages for another half an hour or so, but my brain is done. I've been taking very frequent breaks in the last couple hours, and yeah, I'm done. Like, this is not a book that you challenge yourself to read within 24 hours, which is why people don't do this. But I'm still happy I did it, because otherwise it would have taken me forever to get to this point in the story. So even though it was excruciating pain, I did it and I'm very happy. And I'm really actually enjoying both the pace of the story and just where the story is going. I'm really enjoying the current discussions that we're in. So I'm just about to finish part 3. And here we are dealing with the criminal police investigation of the murder that happened. And it's really, really fun. It's like written in a way that is so matter of fact, but it just gets at so much juiciness behind the psychology of a criminal political investigation. Like, I've been following some of the YouTube channels where they go through political investigations and they kind of stop the video and they analyze what is happening, what are some of the strategies and techniques that the police officers are using to get at information, and then they're also getting behind the psychology of the criminal and explaining how someone who's a criminal versus someone who's innocent, what are some of the techniques that they can use to kind of show their innocence. And it's so cool because I could see these happening here, and like I haven't finished the story yet, so I don't know exactly who the murderer is. Like, I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not like it's still a bit unclear. The way in which Dostoevsky wrote this whole part of the story is still unclear, but just in the way that I'm picking up on those psychological cues that I learned about in those types of videos that I'm watching, and then I can kind of trace them within the conversation that the police is having with the person of interest. Is really, really cool. And I know this sounds so abstract, but I don't want to give details because if you want to read this book, then you should pick up on those yourself. And I don't want to say who's involved in what, because also the murder happens quite late in the story. So when you start a book, it's nice going into it not knowing who's gonna die or who's gonna commit a murder, etc. But it's really, really, really cool. Like, there's all this gaslighting that is happening, or from the police side, it's really cool to see some of the techniques that they use to get people to collaborate. So kind of playing the good cop thing. It's really cool. Anyways, and I have to say, I'm someone who does not like in any shape, way, or form murder mysteries. I don't read murder mysteries. I've tried to read them before, and every single time it's a snooze fest for me. So the fact that I'm enjoying this, it just really speaks to Dostoevsky's magic. And I think it's because it's really much more ingrained into the psychological aspects of it. Anyways, really cool stuff. I'm enjoying this part quite a bit, and it's much more plot driven than the beginning of the story. So I'm really happy with that. By the way, I mentioned the other romance book that I listened to on audiobook. I finished it and it was not the best. Last year I read that trilogy that was part of Just for the Summer, like that whole trilogy, and I loved it. And I thought Abby Jimenez is my next romance writer. And then I read this one and I'm like, I don't know. Have I changed? Has Abby Jimenez changed? Who has changed? I gave it like a 3 stars or something. It was just like a very meh book. As opposed to this one. This one is not meh. I literally feel like this book is entering my soul and reconstituting my whole entire being. Like, just for the sheer fact that I cannot get through it. I've said so many times in this video that it's a pain to get through this book, and probably if you're watching this video you're like, well, why do you read it? But it's not like a bad pain. It's something that is challenging in a good way, and it's going to be a transformative experience for you. That's how this book is to me. It was a challenging 24 hours, but we did it. I'm very happy with the progress. Hope you're reading some good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.